TheMikeMagazine.com, bringing you only the best exclusives in entertainment news.
Good evening, Angela. We want to thank you, first of all, for reaching out to me. I want to say first that we are deeply sorry for the loss of anyone under our state's care. Those who lost their lives, our thoughts and our prayers continue to go out to those families. What we saw, the group of legislators that I, along with others, we went to Parchman. What we saw was a breeding ground for a bad situation. Some of the correction officers that we spoke to said that each unit should have at least 4 officers for every 64 incarcerated people. What we had this past weekend that we were there was 2 people for every 128 people in the prison. That's a problem. We are grossly understaffed, and they are grossly underpaid. People I've heard talk about the gangs. They want to blame the gangs, but we must have the staff to manage the situation. We as legislators have not lived up to our responsibility and given MDOC and the commissioner and her staff the necessary tools that they need to do their job. We've had fewer than 4 staffers for every 128 incarcerated people, and likely the staff managing them were women. Over 75% of the correctional officers that we have are women. That's a problem. It's a problem because when you are grossly understaffed, and then the ones that you're understaffed, you have women having to manage those men, that becomes an issue, okay? I don't think anyone can appreciate how bad our situation is. You have a 17,000 square foot facility there at Parchman for 3,400 people. We have people with low-level drug crimes who should be released. That's a problem that we have not talked about. We have too many people in our prison system. We have too many people here in jail here in Mississippi. We're the 3rd highest incarceration rate in the world. Mississippi cannot currently continue down this path. We have a parole system that needs to be revamped. We can safely decrease the number of people in prison and the length of their sentences by focusing on the root causes of their behavior problems. Mental health is an issue. So we got to put some immediate actions in place. We also need to look at some long-term solutions. And so we want to work together with leadership to solve the problem. State agencies, we have to work together to correct this problem. And we need the parole board to have some discretion on releasing some of these parole-eligible people to reduce the number of people that we have in our prison system. And so because of this unnecessary sentences, because of mandatory minimums, they're not being released. So there's a plethora of issues that we have here, and it is not something new, but it is something that we need to truly work on very quickly, that we can kind of revamp the problem that we have, revamp MDOC.
In the wake of finding that several Mississippi inmates have lost their lives in the state penitentiary, several citizens voiced their concerns.
It's about time that the cover is pulled on that situation, for lack of a better way to put it. My ultimate concern is the feeder programs that are funded by the federal government. If they were in a better situation, we probably wouldn't have as many people being incarcerated. So if you were to address some of the issues that are lying right before our eyes as it relates to education, the education will curtail the need for the prison facility. So if we can fix the problem that create the overpopulation, I think you solve the problem that you have at that point.
Fred Thomas tells of his experiences of going to see his uncle at Parchman.
I was 8 years old. I went to Parchman to visit my uncle. At that time, he was incarcerated. And I remember he had a ball like a 15-pound ball that was locked to his leg. And he would walk. Anywhere he went, he had to drag that ball around with him. Now that's very unusual punishment. People that had served time in Parchman back then, you could always tell even when they got out, because they would drag that leg as if though that ball, that iron steel ball, was locked onto their leg. So it was very unusual punishment back in those days. And that's 72 years ago.
Various media outlets say Jay-Z and Yo Gotti will be making a stop through the Mississippi Delta to have a rally. Here is what Joel Hayes has to say.
Well, if they're going to make some positive change about it, I feel good about it. You know, that's how I feel.
From the time an inmate is sentenced up until the release date, the state is solely responsible for providing safety and security for the inmate.
I feel like, you know, even though they did the crime for what they in there for, I feel like they still human at the same time. And don't know if humans should be treated like that. Everybody's still on the earth for a reason. And you make your bed, you gotta lay in it, but at the same time, you still gotta be treated right. Hospitality is something else. And you shouldn't be carried out like that.
Angela Buckner here, the voice behind the mic.